Creative Storytelling Workshops, the LA County Library virtual event in partnership with the LA County Museum of Art. My name is Lyda, and I'm a Regional Youth Services Coordinator at LA County Library, and I'll be your host today. Before we begin, I wanted to make a quick introduction of Bernadette, one of our positive parenting librarians, who will be on hand during the program to offer tips and resources for parents and caregivers. Bernadette?
Thanks, Lyda. So hi and welcome to this event. Before we get started, let me introduce myself and tell you a little bit about how LA County Library can support your parenting needs. My name is Bernadette and I am a positive parenting librarian with LA County Library. I have been accredited by a research-based positive parenting program to provide tips and resources to help you with your child's behavior. These tips include topics such as self-esteem, homework, separation problems. I'll be available during the program to answer questions in the chat as well as for 10 minutes after the program. You can also schedule a one-on-one consultation with a positive parenting librarian. I will post the link for scheduling a consultation with us in the chat. You will be able to find this link in the email that will go out after the program. Thanks, Lyda.
Thanks so much for telling us about your many wonderful talents and the resources you can provide. Continuing with today's program, exploring the theme of female artists, our librarian Jennifer will be reading the book Pocket Full of Colors, The Magical World of Mary Blair, Disney Artist Extraordinaire. That'll be followed by an art activity led by LACMA teaching artist Katie and moderated by Susie. There are some materials for the art activity today that we posted in the registration, but we're going to put them in the chat right now just in case. So if you have these items at your home, make sure you have them at the ready for the art portion of the program. Here we go. There's the items. Ta-da. Okay. If you have any questions, comments, or technical difficulties during the program, you can share them with us on the right-hand side of the screen in the chats portion, and make sure you set it to all panelists. We'll do our best to answer all of your questions, and we'll be sharing an edited recording of this presentation with all the participants today if you missed anything. So that'll be emailed to you at a later time. So let's get started. Jennifer, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jennifer Torres. I am the Children's Librarian for View Park Phoebe Moore Campbell Library, part of LA County Library System. And today we're going to read a book called Pocket Full of Colors, The Magical World of Mary Blair, Disney Artist Extraordinaire by Amy Guglielmo and Jacqueline Torville, illustrated by Bridget Berringer. And we want to thank Anthem Books for Young Readers for us to be able to read this today. So let's get started. Under a wide blue sky on a red dirt road in a lemon hue house, there lived a little girl named Mary. Other children collected marbles or dolls, but Mary collected colors of every shade and every hue. One day, Mary's parents announced they were moving out west. As she waved goodbye to the yellow house, Mary tucked her friend Lemon in her pocket. Mary would miss her happy home, but she had new colors to collect. Driving across the sun-bleached desert, Mary spied russet, taupe, and sienna. When she arrived in California, she glimpsed the azure ocean and found groves of golden fruit dripping from viridian trees. In the city, she discovered steel gray buildings and mauve-tinted skies. Mary opened her sketchbook. She mixed her paints. She would save these shades for just the right time. When she was older, Mary went to art school. She met Lee. He showed her rosy pinks and blushing reds. She kept these colors close to her heart. Together, Mary and Lee painted rainbows. But it was the Great Depression and people were poor. No one was buying rainbows, except one place. Mary landed a job at Walt Disney Studios, one of the first women ever to be hired. Finally, a place for her colors to run and dance and play as she pleased. But on her first day of work, the men in charge didn't want to talk about cerulean or celadon or cerise. They were only interested in black and white. Mary was told to follow the rules. She tried, but her colors were far too vivid, too wild. When Mary turned in her work, all her ideas were rejected. Twinkling cerulean or twinkling emerald skies, the men turned them blue. Magenta horses that could fly, the men made them brown and put them in a stable. Peach giraffes with tangerine spots, her bosses just shook their heads. They didn't know what to make of her art. But Walt, the man who owned the company, did. He loved her colors so much, he asked Mary to join him on a trip to South America to meet some new ones. Mary delighted in the colors of Brazil, Argentina, and Peru. She worked hard to capture the vibrant scenery. When it was time to go home, Mary's bags burst with color. Fuchsia, teal, aquamarine, indigo, lime green, and banana yellow. After Mary returned to Disney, her concept art for the studio's upcoming films grew even more adventurous. She drew upon the eye-popping shades she observed in South America. Cinderella needed a teal pumpkin coach. The caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland could only be aquamarine, and the mermaids in Peter Pan simply had to be lime green. This time, some of Mary's ideas were accepted, but most of her art was still considered too modern, too abstract, and just not right. Mary's colors encouraged her to leave the men behind with their black lines and strict rules. So she did. Mary quickly found work designing advertisements, illustrating pictures book for kids, and creating sets of plays and television commercials. She enjoyed the freedom of these new jobs, but Mary missed Walt. Then, one day, out of the blue, her phone rang. It was Walt. "Mary, have I got a project for you. I need your wild and beautiful colors," his voice boomed. Walt explained his idea to build a magical ride that would teach children and cultures from around the world. The ride had to be full of color, which meant there was only one person for the job. "Mary, you know about colors I've never even heard of before." Mary smiled. And then she frowned when she remembered the rules and the lines and the men in charge who didn't understand her colors or her style of art. There was only one way to answer. "Yes," said Mary. But her yes came with a condition. This time, Mary wanted to be the one in charge. Walt welcomed her aboard. Mary's paint seemed to sparkle when she hung up the phone. She'd never been to places like China or Morocco or Kathmandu, but her colors had. Sitting down to work, she squeezed out dabs of paint. Lemon yellow, aquamarine and azure, mauve, taupe, and tangerine, russet, sienna, and steel gray, celadon, cerulean, cerise, magenta, teal, indigo, and emerald shined from her palette. But when she picked up her brush, the colors Mary had so carefully collected all her life took her on a trip around the globe. When the work was done and the ride opened, people gasped in awe. It's a Small World was a sensation. When it was Mary's turn to take the ride, she leaned back in the boat and let her colors wash over her. It was a world of laughter, a world of smiles, and color, color everywhere. This, at last, was Mary's world. The end. Thank you.
Wow, Jennifer. I don't think even I knew all of those colors. That was great. So now we'll switch gears to our arts workshop. So I'll now hand it over to our friends from LACMA.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that story. So my name is Katie, and I'm a teaching artist with the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. And I'm here also with Susie, who also works with the LACMA. And what we're going to be doing is sharing a work of art, making a work of art with all of you that's both inspired by the story we just heard and also by an artist named Karen Koblitz. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick. All right, so this is just the materials we're going to be using. Again, just a piece of white paper. This can be just printer paper, any paper you have. Scotch tape, if you don't have Scotch, you can use masking, and scissors, and then anything to color with. So these are the materials. Okay, so I'm going to start talking about the art, but first I just want to share how that story we just heard, I love how the story was about how Mary, this artist, stayed true to herself and her art, even though she came across many challenges, people challenging her because she was doing something different, and also about how the colors she used were inspired by both her life experiences and her travels around the world. And this artist, Karen Koblitz, who created this piece here, also finds inspiration from her travels and life experiences. So this is a type of art called ceramics. So it's a little different than the artist we just looked at. She created animations and illustrations, and this is ceramics. So this is a type of art that's made of clay. And so, and with this type of art, ceramics, it's three-dimensional. So it's also a little different because of that. It's not flat, so you can see it from different angles. But like, Mary in the story, this artist is trying to, she's doing something really different. For instance, if you look at this picture that she created, and then this kind of material beneath it, see how it's just covered with these patterns and colors, and these are all from, these are all inspired by her travels and places she's been and the patterns she's seen around the world. And then where she's also doing something different is this kind of cloth beneath there, she's almost makes it look like it's moving or it's flexible, but this is really hard material actually. So for our art, we're going to be creating something called a sculpture, which is three-dimensional. So we're going to start with a drawing, and then we're going to turn it into a sculpture, something that you can see from all different angles. And this is all going to be made out of paper. But the first thing we want to do before we start is let's just take a minute to, we just heard the stories of these two women and these, this artist we heard about taking this journey and her journey on on her art and inspirations and what she saw, you know, along the way and what she encountered and the challenges. So let's try to imagine for our art, just imagine a winding road, start there, and then maybe start to think about what kind of things you would see along the way. If this was your own adventure, anything, you can see anything. You know, it doesn't even have to be something from real life. It could be like, you know, flying cats or purple dinosaurs. Or, you know, you can think about places that you'd love to go. And then also kind of think about the destination. Where does this road take you? Maybe that's to your future. What, you know, where do you see yourself being in the future? So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So feel free to use the chat if you have any questions, and we're just going to be taking it step by step. The first step before, so we're going to be doing a drawing to start, but you want to grab your piece of paper. And again, this is just printer paper. And what we want to do is lay it down this way. This is lengthwise horizontal, so not like this, like this. And then you're just going to fold it in half. Like so. So now we've got this long rectangle. Okay. Now you're going to take one of the corners, doesn't matter if it's this bottom corner or this bottom corner, either one, and you're going to create a triangle. So we're just going to take that bottom corner and bring it up to the top edge to create a triangle. And to see the triangle, you can grab any marker, pencil, whatever you have, and we're just going to trace along that line. All right, I see someone says, go back to the first step. Sure, okay, back to the first step, the very beginning. Piece of paper, we're gonna fold it in half, this, and then we're gonna take the bottom corner, it can be this side or this side, and just fold it up to the top edge like a triangle here. And then you're just gonna draw a line right here. That's gonna be the line that we're gonna cut. And let me grab some scissors. So after you do that, then you can just unfold it and then just cut along that line. Now, what you should have now is a square. Move my camera a little bit. Okay. So you should have a square, and then you're going to get rid of this extra. We don't need this right now, so we're just going to put it aside. And camera just a little bit. Okay, good enough. All right, so now we're going to open the square, and then you'll have two squares. So now you've got this rectangle with two kind of panels here. And now we can start our drawing. So you can use anything you want to color with. I'm going to use marker just so it's pretty, so you can see it pretty well. And what we're going to do is think about your journey. Think about a road, and we're going to start on the left side, or you can start on the right, doesn't matter. And I'm just going to create a line that's I'm imagining this as a road. And I'm going to make it kind of like maybe wind a little. Okay. And now I'm going to add another line, just make the road a little bit wider. And your road can look however you want it to be, want it to look. Now we just need to fill in. So now you're going to imagine you're traveling along this road, and think about that story you heard and all of the colors she was inspired by. Or you can think about the artist Karen Koblitz and the patterns she was inspired by. Or maybe think of different places you want to go. And I'm just going to kind of, like, yeah, any color. This is where your imagination, this is your own world, totally your own world. This road is taking you wherever you want it to be. You can think about where the destination is too. And then I'm just going to kind of like break it up into sections just by adding, and you certainly don't have to do this. I'm just to help, because I'm going to make like something happen here, something happen here. Just kind of breaking it up into shapes.
And yes, your road can be any color.
Yeah. So now I'm just going to start. Everyone, you know, we're all drawing something different here. We're going to take about 10 minutes or so to 15 minutes to work on a drawing. And we're just going to fill it up. So I'm going to do mine, you do yours, and Susie and I are going to, maybe we'll kind of do this together, come up with our own. Okay, so I want to start with like some cactus, like a desert, because this is LA, kind of inspired by that. Cactus and cacti, not cactuses.
I think I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. I think I'm gonna do a river. Because we are in LA and we have a river, but it's not very impressive.
That's true. Is it like a rushing river or a calm river?
I think calm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Like that idea, river. Feel free to add in the chat some of the things that you're adding in your art.
Oh, someone else is doing a river too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I miss the river. I grew up in Northern California, and there was a really nice river pretty close by that I would go to. So yeah, we're just gonna draw it out and then we'll add the color. Let's see what else. Ocean.
Someone's adding food to theirs.
Ooh, what kind of food?
Someone's making birds. Yeah, a rainbow.
Oh yeah.
It would be a really colorful journey, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, tacos. Yeah, tacos is the food.
Nice. Tacos are delicious. Think about where does the road lead? Where does it go? Where would be your destination? Add like a forest, redwood forest or pine forest.
Someone's adding fish to theirs.
Oh, I like hearing like animals too. And it could be like a mythical creature too. It could be something that you've completely made up if you want. Okay.
Oh, someone specified Del Taco. That's where they're doing
to be specific. Okay, and then yeah, you can also just add you know, patterns, lines, shapes, and then we can get into the color. Add like a cabin. It's gonna be my barn art studio. Always wanted like a big.
someone's putting snow in theirs and someone else is adding.
Ooh, I'd love to see a whale. All right, so now you can start coloring, or whenever you want. So one suggestion when you're coloring is, so if I add, I'm gonna make this a night sky. So if I add this black here and I color in all of this, this is something that I find really helpful, whether you're drawing or painting or just anytime you're using color, is before you grab the next color. So I'm going to fill in that, but before I go and grab the next color, think about where else you could add that color. So I'm going to think about where else, before I just move on to the next, where else could I add the black? And what that does is it balances the color. So it's like you have it on one side and then you add it to the other side, and kind of helps your eye move around the picture.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Someone is their journey is going to the beach, sunset, designs from Willow Tea Room in Glasgow, Scotland.
Oh, wow. Scotland. Glasgow.
All these ideas.
Okay. So yeah, you can use markers, you can use crayons, colored pencils. You can make colors, like Mary in the story, her colors were, just your colors could be anything. You could make a blue tree, or just use from your fantasy, imagination. So we'll take, we'll go to about like 5 to 10 minutes more doing the coloring. And remember, you don't have to color everything. It's kind of nice, I think, to leave some areas white, because then you get something called contrast, where, if I were to put a really dark color next to this, it would kind of be hard to see, but if you have like white next to this dark color, it makes it pop. I'm going to leave some of my areas just white.
Someone says they've been to Palm Springs and Joshua Tree to see the stars.
Desert sky, the best. Yeah, I love sky in the desert because you just see for so vast. You can see so far. Okay, what other colors? Make the stars. And now I'm going to tell you something about this drawing. In a minute, it's going to change a lot. So be aware. Of course, if you don't want to turn it into a sculpture and you just love your drawing, certainly don't. That's up to you. But we're going to do something pretty unusual with our drawing. So I'm just trying to see, I've got this blue, I'm trying to find all the other places I could add the blue before I set it down.
It's very cohesive. Add the colors in different places.
Yeah, it's helps balance, you know, it's helps your eye move through the picture when you add it to more places than one. Dun, dun, dun. I'm gonna keep my road white, I think. What other, let's see, what are y'all using for your colors? Are you using, I'm using a combination. I'm using some colored pencils and some markers.
I'm using colored pencils.
Colored pencils, nice. Oh, what about the trees? Leaf. And all right, couple more minutes coloring. Okay, so while folks are still coloring, I know there's a couple folks that came in late, a little late, so I'm just going to go over kind of the first step and how we got to this rectangle here. So keep coloring, and I'm just going to show for those that came in a little late. So what you're going to do is you take a piece of paper. This is just printer paper, and you want to have it this way. This is horizontal, lengthwise, not like this. You want to have it this way, and then you're just going to fold it in half to make a long triangle. I mean, not triangle, rectangle. And then you're going to take the bottom corner, can be this corner or that corner, doesn't matter, and you're going to fold it up to the top edge to make a triangle. So for instance, I'm going to grab a marker or anything you have, a pencil, just draw a line along that edge. And then we're going to cut out that line. You can just open it and cut that line out. And then we're going to put this extra paper to the side. So you've got this square, then you're going to open it. And this is your drawing surface. So we're starting with the drawing. And we created a road. So we started with a road. So you can just use anything. And I just made a winding road. Your road can look however you want. And what we're doing is we're just using our imaginations. We're thinking about if we were along this road, all of the things we would want to see along the way, all the colors you'd want to see, maybe places you want to go. And then you can think about where the road leads, where you're going. And we're just using, you know, our imagination. We're adding color. And then we're going to turn this drawing into a sculpture. We're going to be doing that pretty soon. So I might, I might just kind of add a few things, and so we can get to the sculpture part soon. I'm going to put that aside and continue just a couple more minutes. Let's see. Maybe some blue.
Someone asked, so a landscape picture works best?
So a landscape, that is totally up to you. You could do a landscape, but you could do anything. I mean, you could make, you could do something just called abstract, where it's just, you know, shapes and lines and colors that inspire you. This is really your own vision. We just started with a road because kind of thinking about the book that we heard, and then the artists we looked at and how they're inspired by, you know, their travels around the world and the colors and patterns they saw along the way. So that you can, you know, this is your art. No right or wrong way. Do it. Okay, add a couple more.
Oh, someone finished coloring already, and they added ships.
Ships, whoa, cool. Okay. So for the last part, we kind of got to move ahead for sake of time. That's okay if you don't color everything. I actually think it's, like I said, it's nice to leave some of the areas white because it creates contrast in your art. So for the next step, what we're going to do is, so we're going to put our drawing materials down, and right now we have a road. We've created a road. We have full control over this journey that we took. We created whatever we wanted, but sometimes, you know, in life there are surprises, and like the journey that Mary took in the story, you know, she came across some challenges, but she overcame them. So, you know, it takes courage. So I say that because we're going to totally transform this drawing, and we're going to start turning it over, cutting it in half, right in the middle where we folded it. And now we have two halves. Now, sometimes, again, with, you know, life and as an artist, it helps to see things from different point of views and different angles. So we are going to turn this into a sculpture, and we're going to be able to look at this road from many different viewpoints. So you can choose which panel you want to start with. One is going to be the bottom, one is going to be the top. And what we're going to do is take one of the panels, flip it upside down, and create folds however you want. So I just created a fold, open it, create a fold somewhere else, open it, create another fold, just keep adding folds. And the reason you're doing this is that you'll notice the more you do this, the more flexible your paper will be. So I just turned it around, I created these folds, and then you can kind of crease where you see those folds, you can crease them even more, and you can start to create interesting forms just by adding folds and bending it, adding folds, twisting it, making interesting shapes and forms. So you keep doing that until you get something kind of interesting, because this is going to come at the top. We're going to make this three-dimensional. So this is going to go at the top of your bottom panel. And see, suddenly you have all these different ways of looking at this road and this place. You're giving it all these different viewpoints and angles. So I'm going to give you two options here with this panel. You can turn this into a box at the bottom, which I will show you. Or if that seems challenging, just leave it as is. You don't really need to, just leave it flat and add your piece that way. But for those of you that want to learn how to do kind of the little box at the bottom, so it stands up like this one, what we're going to do is flip over the other panel. And around on each edge, you're just going to fold each edge up a little bit. And you're going to try to fold, and I'm going to turn it, and then I'm going to fold this edge. Try to have them be about the same distance up for each edge. Open it. Fold this one. Open it. Fold this one. So now we've folded each edge. That. Now, what you'll see is you've got on each one of these corners these little boxes. And just to help, you don't have to do this, but it helps. I'm going to draw a line, a vertical line right at the edge of one of the boxes in the corner, and then I'm just going to move my eye up and draw a vertical line at the top. Same thing on the other side. Again, you don't have to be doing this part, you can just leave it flat as well. Now we have 4 lines. Take your scissors, and you're just going to cut right where those lines are. Okay, and now all we need is some tape. And all we're going to do, take the sides, kind of pull them up. You're going to tape those corners together. So you just take one little flap, put it, overlap it, and tape the corners together. Again, take that corner and just tuck it in. Tape. Same thing, each side. Okay, so now we've got a little box stand. Oop, flying away. So back to this. What we're going to do is what really helps to stick it to your stand is if you just fold up the corners of your square, fold them up like this, and that'll give you something to tape. And if you want, I'm going to grab some tape. You can tape it anywhere you want, but you can even try to maybe like line up some of your, if you see like this line could meet up with this one. You want. And also all you're going to do is just find somewhere. Notice I'm not starting on the very edge. I'm starting kind of in the middle because I want to give my sculpture some height. And you'll see what I mean. So I'm just going to gently tape that in one space. And then as you are taping it, you can also be continuing to kind of bend and fold your sculpture into interesting forms. And I'm going to tape the other side. And again, you can just keep kind of shaping it as you're taping because it's going to hold itself in place. It really helps wherever you see a fold, just go in and crease it some more. Again, if you didn't make the box, this is one that is just, you can just have it flat on the piece of paper too. So you don't need to create a box. It's still a sculpture. Either way. And there we have it. Now you've created this road with this journey from all your inspirations and colors and places that you want to travel. And then you just turned it into something that has many different viewpoints. That's just like life, you know? It's not always exactly, the road doesn't always go in the direction you think. And there's something kind of special about that. That's what being an artist is all
And
about.
if you would like to share your artwork with us, I'm going to put an email in the chat so you can send us pictures because we'd love to see what you all made.
Yeah. All right, so we're about out of time. If there's any last questions or anything anyone want to ask in the chat, feel free. And I hope you enjoyed this experience and have fun making art. All right, thank you, everybody. Bye. And thank you, Susie, so much.
Of course.
I don't see anything else in the chat, question-wise. So thank you all for joining us today, and a special thanks to our friends at LACMA for leading us in that amazing art workshop. We hope you enjoyed the program. If you'd like to let us know how we did, please fill out the survey that will be emailed out to all participants at the end. Our next creative storytelling workshop will be on April 2nd, exploring materials, meaning, and recycling, and will feature an art activity and reading of the book, Building Our House by Jonathan Bean. To register for that event and to check out the full schedule of creative storytelling workshops, visit lacountylibrary.org/LACMA programs. There you'll also find book lists about the themes presented in each workshop. Our positive parenting librarian will remain in the event for 10 minutes following my conclusion. And if you have any parenting questions, you can post them in the chat. You can also schedule a one-on-one consultation with a positive parenting librarian, and Bernadette will go ahead and put the link to that consult request form in the chat as well. If you're interested in participating in any more of our upcoming virtual programs, please visit us at lacountylibrary.org. Thanks again, everyone. We appreciate you coming.